start with you, lawyer. Counsel, yesterday we understand that the proceedings to look into the matter has begun. It began yesterday, and that they will be sitting 3 times a week. This is going to be a case that will be monumental in our space. It will set a precedent for what will be following later. What are your expectations for the outcome of this matter?
Look, let me greet you again and your listeners and your viewers. Look, my expectation is unfortunately very grim in the sense that I have concerns with my general position on the establishment of prima facie case against the Chief Justice. I have made it quite clear in my previous interviews and certainly on this platform as well, that a situation where it is easier to remove a Chief Justice as compared to the High Court judge, ordinary High Court judge, or Court of Appeal judge, or even an ordinary Supreme Court judge is disturbing, in that when an allegation is made against an ordinary member of the court who is not a Chief Justice, the decision whether or not there's a case for that person to answer does not lie with a politician. That decision lies with a judge who will take legal view to establish whether there is a prima facie case. Now, in this case, in relation to the Chief Justice, that decision whether there's a prima facie case was not made by a judge, it was made by a politician. And you know, politicians, they have their own people driving them to arrive at a certain decision just to please their base. So I am absolutely convinced that whatever outcome will satisfy the base of the president. That is my worry. Now, I also have concerns with the composition of the panel. My concern essentially, goes with the inclusion of Mr. Domlevo. I have serious concerns about that. Mr. Domlevo is the former Auditor General who had a case against the previous government. And the court delayed the hearing and the final judgment of his case, to the extent that by the time the court delivered judgment in his favor, by that time Mr. Domlevo had reached a retirement age and could not go back to office. And he's absolutely peeved and angry by that. So an inclusion of such a person in a committee to determine the fate of the very Chief Justice, who is seen as having denied him that opportunity. You can see there's an interest there that is clearly conflicting. And I have concerns with that. And I'm told that there's one judge who is also facing Justice Kwame, who is also facing a petition has been written against him. That petition has been sent to him to respond by the Chief Justice. So for him to then sit and down in a rather opposite way to determine the fate of the Chief Justice raises another conflict of interest issue. So I'm not overly optimistic that the results will be an objective assessment of what transpired. So that's my initial position. I have concerns with the committee itself and the composition of the committee. And, well, only time will tell whether my concerns are founded.
But can there ever be a committee that does not have any personal scores? Because as you have outlined some of the members of it, it looks like there may be a personal score to settle to a certain extent, or even a professional score to settle? Can we ever have a time where a committee is so neutral to the point where they do not have any relationship whatsoever?
You see, there's a saying in law that not only must justice be done, it must also be seen to be done. When there's a clear case of interest, a conflict of interest, you cannot say there can never be a situation where there will be a clear case where there's nobody with any slightest interest in the case. Of course, there's always going to be that, but we must strive to get the best that we can, so that at the end of the day, nobody can turn around and say the Chief Justice was not treated fairly. But in the situation which I have enumerated, clearly, the two people within the composition is worrying, especially Mr. Domlebo, because I can't see why only Domlebo, of all people, should have been selected. Why not other people? There are equally competent people with audit background who could very easily fill the shoes of Mr. Domlebo in this case. So you ask yourself, why Domlebo?
Counsel,
they must tell you there's an objective there.
Counsel, if we are going by the petitions that have been submitted and also the Chief Justice's response to the petition, couldn't we just be looking at these things from an objective lens where someone says A, you come and rebut A, whether you rebut it or you allude to it, and not the inclusion of emotions, of personal scores, of interest in a matter, matters such as these. And you have told us, lawyers have continued to tell us over and over again that the matter is all about the evidence you present, your evidence and how it seeks to serve your purposes. And so if someone has written a petition against the Chief Justice, and the Chief Justice is also given the opportunity to defend herself, whether via her lawyer or by herself, couldn't be a matter where no personal sentiments get to wade into the waters?
Well, look, ideally, you would expect that to happen or to be the case. But the reality is, judgments or decisions are often influenced by personal experiences. No doubt about that. You cannot say it's just going to be about the evidence. No, you can't. Because, unfortunately, the committee consists of 3 lay people and only 2 judges. So, let's say if the 3 lay people says, look, let's convict, and the 2 people says, no, they're not. There will be 3 against 2. What then happens to that? So, I'm just telling you, you cannot desegregate the 2 and say, oh, it shouldn't matter who the composition. Of course it does matter. The people who sit in the committee can influence the outcome of, even in a panel of judges. If you can get strong-willed judges on your side, they can pull the rest towards your side as well. So anybody who says you can just look at it objectively, it's just about the evidence and solely about the evidence, it's just clearly wrong, or I'm not experienced enough in law. I have practiced law for over 23 years, and I know exactly what I'm talking about. They do have an influence, especially who sits.
Let me hold you for a while. We also joined by Dennis Kwakwa, former Ashanti Regional Communications Director for the NPP. Dennis, you're welcome.
My sister, thank you very much, and good morning to your viewers.
Good morning. Let me come to you, Ni. You've listened to what the lawyer has said. He's coming from a legal perspective. Let me pick from your perspective as a party person. When this whole issue about Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo, is it just to serve your base, to make your base happy that the president is dealing with certain persons? Because since your government came in power, we've heard comments like remove the CJ, remove the EC boss and all. Really, Is it because the Chief Justice has done something wrong, or it is all about serving your base?
Thank you very much. Certainly, it's not about setting or doing anything to pacify our base. No. Everything that has been done so far has been done constitutionally. But first of all, let me look at what the previous the man who just talked about.
Kwame Adofo.
Yes, he was talking about establishment of a prima facie. Yes, the fact that a prima facie has been established does not necessarily mean that the former or whatever, the embattled Chief Justice is guilty. That is why she has been given the opportunity to respond by writing. And apart from that response, she will also have the opportunity to sit before the panel formed. So it is quite strange that lawyers will be coming to say that because a prima facie case has been established, it means this or that will happen. No, that does not mean that she is guilty. She's not guilty as we speak until it is proven by the committee that she is guilty of the accusations leveled against her. Secondly, he talked about Mr. Domelevo. Well, the fact that somebody has done something bad towards me does not mean that I am totally, I don't even have any right to function in any society. We all know of Mr. Domelevo's criticism of the current government. You remember when the issue about appointees who have not been able to file their tax returns came in. Mr. Domelevo was one of those who criticized the government and even recommended that those appointees should be sacked. So we all know that Mr. Domelevo is somebody who is a man of his own words. So I don't know why we should be afraid because he has been treated badly. If you know that it is a bad way of treat, this will even help let all of us know that next time we should not treat others badly, because one day those people will also have the opportunity to determine our fate. So we should not be thinking that because he has been treated badly, then it means he's no more qualified to play any role in our society. No, that should not be the case. Certainly, we are not doing anything to please our base. So far, all the processes that have been done is in compliance with Article 146.6. The president has established a committee, and that is what the Constitution requires. Over the years, you realize that a lot of people have been talking about the integrity of the judiciary. By this process alone, everybody will have confidence in the judiciary. So let's look at what the positive that this process would bring to the society than expressing fear of what hasn't even happened. What shows that the Chief Justice will even be guilty at the end.
Nitan, what are the positives this process could bring to us as a people? The positives you talk about.
Of course, it will help in protecting the integrity of the judiciary. Everybody knows that, look, nobody is above the law. Even if the whole Chief Justice can be called before a panel, then how much more me? How much more you? So that is one positive thing. It serves as something that all of us can learn from and know that if it can happen to the Chief Justice, then it can happen to you and I. Apart from that, it also helps in promoting accountability. Everybody appointed to position should know that, look, one day he or she will be called to account. So that is another one good thing. Apart from that, too, it will also help in upholding public confidence in the judiciary. Everybody will now have confidence in our political landscape. Anything that happens in the country, everybody will now have confidence that, look, so long as big men can be called to account if they err today, Tomorrow, if I also err, I can be called to account. It also demonstrates that we have matured as politicians. It's not about, oh, this is what I want, so I'll do it without following the process. You realize that President John Dramani Mahama so far has followed the processes. And all those who keep expressing fears and saying all manner of things have never on any occasion established that the processes that are enshrined in our laws have not been followed. So where from these fears? Look, has people not been sent to court and at the end have come out not guilty before? So what shows that if the Chief Justice is called before the panel, she will be guilty of whatever allegation has been leveled against her. Let her go. The very judges that are there, they have worked at various institutions, they have worked at various courts, and they have made rulings. Why have you not doubted those rulings that they have made? But when it comes to the Chief Justice, we are doubting their ruling. Mr. Domelebo, was he not at the audit service? Have we doubted all the work that he has done? Why are we doubting him now?
Okay.
Please, let's make sure that we treat others well so that tomorrow we will not be afraid to be treated in any other way.
Dennis, let me come to you. Do you believe that this process is going to restore our confidence in the justice system and our judiciary? In any case, have we lost confidence in our judiciary?
Thank you very much, my sister. Let me greet my discussants. I am very much surprised my brother is saying that they are trying to restore confidence in the judiciary. Maybe the confidence of the NDC in the judiciary is what he's talking about. What we have been agitated against ever since this matter came up is that President Mahama wants to derail the confidence in the judiciary. He wants to bring down one arm of government, the government that is left for all of us to live in harmony. That is the judiciary. And if anything at all, if we should be partisan to any level of extent, we must leave one arm. That should give confidence to the people of Ghana that one day, if anybody offends you, if you perceive that somebody is doing wrong to you, do not resort to retaliation there and then, because you have confidence that there is a judiciary that would be the arbiter likely to give you justice. Now you have the head of the judiciary being attacked and want to be removed arbitrarily. What the NDC wants to tell the judiciary in Ghana is that even if we can remove the Chief Justice, if you are a judge, you are nobody to us. Therefore, if we bring a matter to you and we tell you this is how we want the ruling, you only have to follow suit or you lose your seat at the bench. That is all. That is what they want to do. Simply because they normally present cases to court without any proper evidence. And whenever they go to court, they lose their cases. They think it's because they are disliked by the judiciary. Instead of them to sit down and practice law in its fullest, to make sure that they win cases, they send credible cases to court, they think attacking the judiciary this way is the only way to satisfy themselves and their supporters and tell the people of Ghana that Ghana is running in the right direction. I think this is dangerous. It is a matter of personal vendetta, and nobody should even worry about whether there is fairness in this or not. President Mahama, before coming to power, sent a caution. He threatened the
Hello, Dennis.
This is something that
Dennis,
everyone knows. Everybody knows that President Mahama at their NDC lawyers conference in O. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we lost you when you said before they came into power, President Mahama sent a caution.
I hope you hear me, please, ma'am. Do you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, so I said when he attended the NDC lawyers conference in Go platform.
Well, Dennis, we keep losing you, so kindly reposition.
Threaten the Chief Justice that.
Okay, Dennis, we seem to be losing you, so can you reposition yourself so with that I can come back to you and take your submission on the matter. But let me come back to you, Lawyer Adofo. Let me pick your final thoughts on the matter so that we can allow you to go handle the rest of your business.
Look, I can understand the political angles that my brothers are taking, and I decline any invitation to comment the political angle. I still maintain that the process where there are people with clear conflict of interest involved in questioning the Chief Justice and also writing a recommendation as to whether he should be removed or maintained is worrying, because they are not free and objective as we see it. And I maintain that not only must justice be done, it also must always be seen to be done. And I'm of the view that this composition of the panel, even if they try really hard for justice to be done, there are people with doubts that by virtue of their own personal situations or conflicts, justice may not be seen to be done. That's how I rest my submission.
Thank you, Lawyer Adofo. We'll speak with you the more, sir.
You're always welcome.
Kwame Adofo is a private legal practitioner. He's also a constitutional lawyer. He has shared his thoughts on the CJ's suspension and the empaneling. The panel has begun hearing the matter. Dennis, let me come back to you. I hope you're in a better position now. Hello, Dennis. Hello, Dennis. Okay. Well, we seem to have lost Dennis. We hope to establish contact with him again so that he can finish his submission and we can have some more conversation with him. But Nee, I come back to you. Okay, Nee, beg your pardon. Dennis is back, so let me take his submission. Dennis, you're welcome back.
My sister.
Yes, you're welcome back. You were talking about the president issuing a caution at some point, even before he became president, and that's where we lost you.
Yes, and so it is just ridiculous for anybody to tell us that President Mahama is only acting on this matter because he received some petitions. People even perceive that the petitions were written in his own office because it is a plan that had been drawn even from opposition before coming to power. The Chief Justice is somebody who has conducted herself in a manner that the ordinary Ghanaian has never got any problem with. Sometimes if you're a public officer or you are a civil servant and you are faulting in the dispensation of your duty, sometimes the public themselves will be able to see the manifestation of what you are doing wrong and sometimes speak beforehand, before the matter is even taken to the legal level of dispensation. But President Mahama and the NDC only targets people who they think are not on their bail. If they want to buy you and they cannot buy you, they have to destroy you. It's a matter that everyone knows. And now the Danko Akufo-Addo and the MPP, in government, we appointed the Chief Justice, and so Nana created a very serious office of the Special Prosecutor, and put an NDC man that everybody knew was a loudmouth. When Martin Amidu was taken there, all of us, NPP people, hailed Nana Addo for taking a bold decision to put somebody of that stature in the office because we believed in accountability. We believe that officers of Nana Addo's government and any other past officers of this state needed to render accountability for their stewardship. We didn't think whether he was NDC or NPP. We thought that at a point in time, when power is given to you in this country, you have to exercise the power to the fulfillment of the expectation of the people of Ghana. And the people of Ghana, at some point, believed that corruption was getting high. And so Nana Addo needed to make a point to create that confidence in the people that, yes, as a government, as a public office, we were interested in fighting corruption. So putting Marty Amidu there was not a problem for the MPP. It was not a problem for the president himself. Now, the Chief Justice, as John Mahama, His Excellency, wants to turn the office into the office of the Chief of Staff, is now going to be a political appointment. Simplicity. And Nana Addo Akufo-Addo appointed Tokono. Tokono must go. If President Mahama has 4 years today and appoints somebody, I'm not even confident the NDC, if perish the torch, if they would win through 2028 elections, the president who succeeds Mahama, I don't know whether he would be interested in keeping the Chief Justice that Mahama wants to bring or not. Rafuboni, the one that everyone now can point finger to be succeeding Tokono to their hatchet plan work, was somebody who was appointed by President J. Akufo. Not every NDC member will have absolute confidence in him that he will stand for the NDC at all times. And so we believe that President Mahama is only making the office of the Chief Justice coterminous with the term of a president. If we went 2028, what they are doing, then they are putting a certain standard in place. It becomes a very disturbing issue that the next president of this country after 4 years would have to follow suit what President Mahama wants to do today. And the last time we were on your show, we said that many presidents have been faced with the same scenario that they want to use as a justification just to implement their hatchet plan, that he has received a petition. President John Evans Atamels, and you know, in the days of the NDC, former President Rawlings attacked the judiciary in the same way. When President Mills came, before Kufuor, Rawlings was. And so Kufuor received petition, he threw it away. Atamels received a petition, threw it away. And Akufo-Addo received a petition, threw it away. Mahama receives a petition. He's the only sacrosanct individual to have ever occupied this office. His mind, everything is filled with vendetta. And he believes that every office in this country must be filled by NDC people. That is wrong. That is bad.
Okay.
If we go this way, well, the difficulty, the danger is that once the president is allowed to attack the judiciary, begins to replace judges become mute. Where the people of this country are now able to predict that there's no justice in the courts. Nobody steals from me and will tell me to take the matter to court. We will fight. If it is about land, we will fight there and then. People will have to die so that whoever survives take the land. You knock me with a blow, I have to take a machete and try to strike you off because I don't expect judgment from any other place. That is the danger President Mahama is taking the country into. And nobody should deceive himself. It's good that my brother on the other line was saying that people should not perceive Domlebu to be coming to retaliate whatever has been done to him. Yes, if it were fair, if Domlebu's utterances in the past have suggested that he's a leader in stature who forgives, then everybody will now believe what he's trying to tell us this morning. He's somebody who is always loud, trying to fight the system simply because he thinks he was taken out of office. He was taken out of office by age, because of his age. And nobody must misconstrue that idea. It was a contest on his age. And if you want to work in the public office, it comes with age. People must accept it. Now, President Mahama is struggling to give jobs to the young people of this country. Why? Because people are in the job market. They are still qualified to be there unless they reach the ages of pension. You cannot do anything about it. And so if you're a public officer at that level, and we're given a contract extension and so, in any way, your appointment was given to you on 28 December when President Mahama had already lost power. The day before President Mahama was going to hand over, that is when he officially confirmed your appointment. And so if you think you should occupy the office in perpetuity, then somebody like my brother on the other side, myself, and any other young people of this country cannot begin to believe in the system, that the system will ever create opportunities for the young ones. If you are aged and you reach that age, it's compulsory you have to vacate the office. That is what he was contested on. Nobody meted any kind of hatred to Domlebu, but he has been bitter from day one. He's been speaking in the public safe, and therefore it gives room for anybody to speculate that he's not going to present fair judgment.
Okay.
Justice Bafuboni, who is the great beneficiary of the suspension of Chief Justice Tokono, in a matter that was going to decide whether the suspension was right or wrong, now decides that he was going to sit on the bench and chair that hearing himself. At the end of the day, the matter is to play through in favor of what he expected to happen. And so anybody at all could sit back and say that no, if that man had not been there, probably it was going to be a matter that was going to be won by the applicant. And so the whole system is flawed. It is perceived, not just a perception per se. It is seen and it is true that it is a hatchet plan that is being implemented by President Mahama and the NDC. And I believe the caution is to every Ghanaian. Lawyers, private lawyers in this country are going to suffer greatly when they present cases to court that is against the state, because judges are now going to be in fear to rule any matter in favor of an individual of this country.
Okay.
And if you're a lawyer, see that you go to court, you are not bringing me any good judgment. Why would I even employ you in the first place? Okay. So the danger is broad. Every Ghanaian must be concerned. It is not an NDC MPP matter. This is a matter for the public. It's for any ordinary Ghanaian. It is for our system, our justice system that we are all fighting against.
All right. Well, Ni, let me come back to you and give you the opportunity to give your final thoughts on this, and then we'll move on to our next conversation.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I've listened to the lawyer and my brother Dennis, and clearly, you see, this kind of comments even shows that they are not even helping the former Chief Justice at all. Clearly, it will even be politically unwise if it comes out that the former or the embattled Chief Justice is not guilty, for President John Dramani Mahama to continue to say that, or maybe for the public to even say that she should continue to serve as Chief Justice. Because clearly, if you see the way they all keep on arguing, both some members of the Ghana Bar Association, who have made themselves NPP legal committee members, and these NPP people, the way they are taking the matter clearly shows that the former Chief Justice has been placed there specifically to help achieve the agenda of the NPP. If they are actually in to serve the good purpose of this country, if the Chief Justice is Madam Gertrude, is actually in to serve the good of this country, the comments that are coming from these particular people will not be as it is now. But they have demonstrated that the woman is there to serve the purpose, some agenda set by the NPP. He talked about arbitrarily removal of the Chief Justice. What has been done to show that the process so far has been arbitrary? Nothing. He has not been able to justify. They keep on talking about Domelevu, blah, blah, blah. So do you mean to say that today, if I want to prevent somebody from serving this country tomorrow, I should just, all that I need to do is to maltreat the person today? The moment I maltreat the person today, it means tomorrow when the person is called to serve in any capacity, it means the person is coming to retaliate or revenge. If that is the, if that is what we all want, then it will be easy for anybody to maltreat people that they anticipate to be leading this country tomorrow. If I do not want, for instance, if I do not want Dr. Baumia to serve this country tomorrow, then I'll deliberately maltreat him. Everybody knows that I am maltreating him. Then when the court rule that I've maltreated him, but because I have maltreated him, then he should not be made or he should not serve this country tomorrow.
Okay.
No, that shouldn't be.
All right.
If we know, this should be a lesson to all of us. Let's stop maltreating people. Kodria, their general secretary, maltreated some of us when they were in power.
Well, Ni, let's
maltreat people, and then tomorrow they say that.
Yeah, Ni, let's not wade into those words.
That is the kind of attitude they put up. They go anytime they get the opportunity, they maltreat people. They do all sort of
well, Ni, let me
now
move you.
To say that don't put the person there because
let me move you away from maltreatment, and let's talk about.
You would allow me just a minute before.
Dennis, please let me move to the next topic, and then when we are done and I have a few minutes, I'll give you the opportunity. Yes. Let's look at what is looming, what is staring us in our face. One thing Ghanaians hate to hear, so the energy minister is telling us that we face imminent power crisis because of fuel shortage. Government owes over 400 million debts. $400 million debt to Car Power, and is also seeking $1.1 billion just for our energy sector. Ni, your government is in power. You said you had some things for us. I'll come back to you and hear what has gone wrong. That's why you need all of these. But we are joined by Dr. Charles Ufori-Gyamfi. He is the policy lead on climate change and energy transition at ASEP. Let me pick his expert opinion. I'll be back and seek your opinions, Ni and Dennis. Hello, Dr. Gyamfi. Thank you for your time, sir.
Yeah, hello. Good morning.
Good morning. On the line are Ni Tan of the NDC and Dennis Kwakwa of the NPP. Dennis, for those of us, the lay person who doesn't understand, Charles, for those of us, lay people who do not understand all of the terms that are being used in the conversation, all we hear is doom. So please tell us what is happening in our energy sector.
All right, thank you. I think these issues have been persisting for some time now, and we've been having conversations around it as to how we can sustainably manage our power sector. And I think we've been talking about generation issues, fuel supply issues. We've reached a stage where the gas that we have, domestic gas supplies, and even the imports are not able to, sustain the demand for gas that we have. And that means that we have to look for alternatives, that is in the form of liquid fuels. And, liquid fuels are more expensive. So it means that the sector value chain, of which the distribution forms a major, aspect when it comes to financial generation, becomes more relevant in this. Its ability to generate the needed revenue for every aspect of the value chain has to be made, very, very much. But the trouble we are seeing is that in addition to our gas, shortfalls, we are not able to raise the necessary financing to make sure that, generation, transmission are able to also meet their obligations. And that means that the obligation has to fall on government to provide. So it's a whole, financial stress on government to make sure that we keep the lights on. And this is something that has persisted. Anytime we have a conversation concerning the inefficiencies of the distributor in ensuring that they minimize their losses and make sure that financial, sustainability is ensured, this is the kind of conversation that we are having. And this is the kind of impact that it's having on our power sector, Until we really put the brakes and provide a very sustainable solution to treat power distribution in the country, we will continue to have this, and because government intervention will always be imperative for us to do so. But that is not sustainable, because if you look at the challenges that we have in terms of raising finance and balancing the social needs against keeping the lights on for a sector that should have run as a business, we can't, keep on doing this without, having a very clear-cut solution to deal with the distribution inefficiencies.
Charles, how dire is this situation?
I think you heard the minister. It's very dire. If you look at the amount of money that government keeps on, projecting to deal with power sector inefficiencies, it's huge. Read the 2024 budget, read the 2025 budget, and you see billions of, Ghana cedis being plugged in to deal with power sector inefficiencies. For example, if you read the 2025 budget, on the average, about 30 billion cedis every year is supposed to be given to budgeters to deal with power sector inefficiencies. And that is the situation. And, that is money that could have been used to do other social service expenditure. That is money that could have been used for the education sector, for the health, for the agri, for roads. But you have to make sure that you use it to keep the lights on. So the situation is there. And anytime government is not able to raise that financing to keep the lights on and IPPs begin to threaten to shut down, then we have a problem in our hands. So you and I know, I mean, the situation is even dire than we see it.
How do we plug these holes, all of these gaps? As soon as conversations like this come up, and I believe I speak for the ordinary Ghanaian when I say that it's distressing to hear some of these things, and it seems this is a never-ending cycle. We go through the mill all the time. When can we say that we have decidedly or decisively plugged the hole? We have halted that cycle. We have broken it.
I think it's really, that's the question we should be asking the duty bearers, to ensure that, the plans that we have, we make decisive actions to plug these holes and to deal with the deficiencies. The blame game needs to stop. We need to ensure that we get what it takes to do it. We need to ensure that the distributor, is dealt with it's managed in a professional manner. It's managed without any recourse to any level of political interference. It's managed without any, managed efficiently. Minimize our losses, ensure that tariffs that are owed are being collected, and we may have to, one of the easiest ways to deal with this is always to go back to the tariff. But you see, you can't always be going back to the tariff to deal with inefficiencies, because even if we increase the tariff to even 200% and inefficiencies still exist, we will come back to the stage where we are going to face these challenges with IPPs on our neck, and having generation problems. That is on one breath. But on another side of the conversation is for us to also begin to have a bigger conversation about how we can optimize our domestic gas resources, produce more gas, and then use it, as an alternative to the liquid fuels that we are having. Because a bigger challenge has to do with the limited capacity of our gas processing plants now to process more gas that is coming from the Jubilee and TEN fields, which is mainly re-injected or fled, right? So on one breath, we need to deal with the gas supply, issues by providing additional investments to, provide more gas. And then we also need to deal with the inefficiencies around power distribution in ensuring that financial flows are done right and are done well across the value chain.
Dr. Gyamfi, the minister says that he will fix it. This is something that will be fixed. But when we talk about fix it, is this something we'll see in the shortest term? Or it's going to be one of the rhetorics that we hear? Or what kind of long-term sustainable plan will adequately solve this matter?
I think that, the saying that fix it requires that we provide a very sustainable plan to do that. I don't doubt the capacity and the competency of the minister if he says he's going to fix it. But I think that we should move beyond the complaints and the problem to providing more clear-cut solutions around how we are going to deal with this situation. So one thing that we need is a very clear-cut solution. What is the minister looking at? We've talked about private sector participation. What has been the outcome of it? How are governments seeking to move forward with it? How are we seeking to ensure distributional excellence? How is going to ensure that the right investments are made, and to minimize the losses and to ensure that the distributor is very, very efficient in this regard? Those are the solutions we need. Those are the answers that we expect that the minister and then the government provides in dealing with the power sector.
Well, thank you, Charles, we're most grateful for your time, sir.
You're welcome.
Dr. Charles Ofori Jemfi is the policy lead on climate change and energy transition at ASEP. Big issue. Doomsday is looming, but the minister says that he will fix it. Let me come to you, Ni. It's your government that is in power. You gave us so many assurances before you came. You told us you were resetting the country. And just about 5 months into your governance, this is what is staring us in the face. We've already had complaints of doomsday, people complaining that their lights go off erratically at certain points in time. What is the problem?
As rightly put by the previous speaker, the problem used to be generation, but now the problem is about fuel to power the plants. And this problem, you know, is not a new thing. You remember those times that we used to have more erratic disruption in the power supply. You remember Honorable Napo even came out to say that we, the citizens of this country, should come up with our own timetable. So it is not a new thing. It is something that started staring at us long ago before the NDC took over in January. So it's a problem that we must look at a sustainable means of solving. This particular one should, I think, the best way is not to over-politicize issues, but we should all look at how best we'll be able to solve the problem, because it's something that has been a problem for a very long time, and almost all the governments under this Fourth Republic have faced one problem or the other in terms of the power supply. It used to be the generation, but you realize that when President Mahama came previously, he worked a lot about generation of power. Now it's about fuel, and that is why I'm happy to hear that the minister is saying that he's going to fix it, and I have every confidence in him and the government of President Mahama that really they are going to fix it, because he has done it before. If he has been able to help in bringing a whole lot of devices that enable us generate the power, and now saying that he's going to fix it to ensure that we are able to get enough fuel to power the plants, I am very much confident that this is going to be solved, and in the shortest possible time, we'll receive a better way of handling our power issues.
Oh, Dennis, I come back to you. Nia and his NDC have made it clear over and over again that this is an energy sector they came to inherit from you and your government, having been in power for 8 years. Dennis, you were also in power. Let me pick your thoughts on it. Is this really what you gave to the NDC?
Yeah, before I come there, don't forget I wanted to make a point on our previous topic.
Dennis, I'll give you only 30 seconds to do that.
Don't worry, I'll manage with it. My brother cited the Ghana Bar Association as now being seen as an appendage of the MPP. It is the same Ghana Bar Association that in the HIPU election 2024, its president, Yabuafo, who is the son of NPP leader, SK Buafo, was leading. And in the hall of KNUST, he stood and said that Anado was not doing well in the fight against the LMC. He was the same person as the bar president who spoke against the implementation style of the free SHS. The NDC applauded the Ghana Bar Association, because at that point, they thought that what was said by the Ghana Bar Association was in consonance with their campaign messages. And so this idea of demonizing state institutions when they don't speak for their party is sickening. And we have to make sure it stops. That is what they are doing to the Chief Justice, simply because they think any case must be won in court, whether a valid one or not. That is the trouble we have as a country to do it. And that is where we are. Let me put it there. Now let's come back to the energy issues. My brother is fumbling a lot simply because he was not sleeping in Dumso before John Mahama became president. His Excellency John Mahama, if we are to just listen and agree to what my brother just said, had been in power before, and in his days previously, he solved the problem of generation and that now that he has come back, nobody is keeping the argument that Ghana has a generational problem. The generation capacity before election 2016 was up to the level that Ghanaians needed to get full lights on. And if I have to give you a typical example, in those days, when Black Stars were playing a match that was crucial, that was of interest to all Ghanaians, the NDC government in those days will make sure that the whole of Ghana will enjoy light in full capacity. As soon as the football ends, then they take us back to their timetable. You are here quoting Napo. What Napo has said, Napo yes said that there was no doom. So if you were still hesitant in believing what he was telling you as a minister, you thought you wanted to give the scenario that there was doom. So you could go ahead and do your own timetable for that, because as far as he was concerned, as a power sector minister, he knew what the problem was. The problem was not with doom. So how many of our distribution lines having been replaced in the greater Accra area towards the Volta region and in the Ashanti region towards the north? So many work was done simply because we thought that the distribution lines needed to be replaced. Today we are in this country, when there is rain and a hot thunderstorm, no matter how big it is, our lights are able to be on because of that work that Napo did at the energy ministry. George Napo, prior to becoming a minister of energy, was able to hold press conferences every day in the news, every day in the media. He was able to say something about the energy ministry. Now we give power to you, and you are now coming to tell us that it is not generation problem, it is financial. That is what you told the people of Ghana in 2016, that Ghana did not have a problem of generation. It was financial. And so when we came to power, all that we sought to do was to find money, buy fuel to power the plants. It's as simple as that. You just have to power the plants. If you don't power the plants, you will not get electricity. The input mix of generating electricity in our country, coal is, I think, something that we don't consider anymore. But the liquid fuel and the gas are now becoming main sources of fuel. Hydro, as we have been trying to do, is doing a good work, but not to a level that Ghanaians can rely on. And now the Danko Akufo-Addo's government tried to start the setting up of solar farms. It is the duty of this government, first of all, to make sure that we sleep in lights, and then to look at the alternative sources of generation power that may be cheaper. That is why Dr. Bawumia said that had he been in power today, he was going to look at setting up 2,000 megawatts of solar power, because that was going to reduce our tariffs down to a level that Ghanaians were going to be able to contain. And so if you have power today and you are not able to manage the power, don't come and mention MPP. We are way back away from the Ghanaians experienced lights on for 8 years. There's never been a time that we can tell the people of Ghana that light will never go off. Yes. But practically, what you are giving to us for the last 5 months is not what Ghanaians were experiencing far back in 8 years. People thought you were coming with another plan. They thought they could believe. I'm not perturbed by what we are going to, because then they see, if you look clearly in their manifesto, they didn't say anything that Ghanaians could have relied on in terms of making sure they give us power. What did they say? And what are they even saying today? Like our previous speaker said, there must be a plan. There's no plan. Don Dapo is only talking. Now crying on TV. In the past, he would just be there and ranting. Now today, he wants to appear as a crying baby. And now my brother Nye is telling us that this is not something that must be politicized. It is going to be politicized. You are going to politicize this issue because you are still giving the people of Ghana bad leadership. You are taking us back to the days when Dr. Mahama was president. We elevated the situation to a level that Ghanaians were going to be satisfied with. Now you are taking us back there, and that is the reason why we are going to politicize it. The whole national airport, the whole national international airport is able to go off anyway, and we say we should not politicize it. Why must we pamper the NDC and President Mahama?
All right.
For what way?
Let me
when you came to power, when you came to power, the things that are priority to you, you are able to do it. Find money to do them. Last 2 weeks, Samijan and your team moved around the country, met your communicators and give them monies, 10,000 each.
Let's not wade into Samijan fee waters.
No, I'm not going there today. If you prioritize the generation of electricity and its distribution to the people of this country, there will be money. Okay. Now the Danko Akufo-Addo and Bawumia found the money in 8 years. Give power to us, the people at Asafo. who for some reason forgot that Mahama collapsed their business in 2016. Some hesitantly went back to vote for him, and now they are facing the same problem. They are crying.
Dennis, I'll pick your final thoughts, and so you can hold your horses. I'll come back to you. Nia, I come back to you. Let me, in 30 seconds, pick your final thoughts, but let me inject this in there. There is a certain mindset that all of these press conferences, all of these things the minister is saying is all for one end, that your government wants to privatize the ECG. Picking your final thoughts on the matter. I'll give you just a minute.
The government has over the years established that it has no intention of privatizing ECG. However, you realize that ECG itself has over the years not performed too well as a public institution. So there is the need to bring a private person to partner with them. That does not necessarily mean that the government wants to completely give the ECG out. But my brother was saying that, yes, they are going to politicize the issue about energy. Fine, they can go ahead and politicize it. So henceforth, anything that comes from them, the people of this country will know that they are only in to do politics that will let them come back to power tomorrow, and not necessarily because whatever they are saying is the real. So they can go ahead and do their politics, whilst we also will go ahead to solve the problem of this country. Issues about energy or problem about energy doesn't just come within a twinkle of an eye. It starts from a very long time. It's like a pregnancy. If you see somebody giving birth today, it means the person was pregnant 9 months ago or 7 months ago. So if you are seeing the problem today, that doesn't mean that the problem was generated today. It means the problem started long ago. And all those who are truthful will bear to the fact, will say the truth and bear to it that the issue about this glucose or whatever started not now. We had it long ago. I brought Dr. Napo in because that shows that the issue was there, and he had to, instead of addressing it, he said we should go and solve, we should come out with our own timetable. So the issue has been there. It is important we look for a solution, and I can bet to let you know that, look, we are going to solve the problem. I am happy Dennis acknowledged the fact that the problem about generation was ended somewhere in 2016 when President John Dramani Mahama was in power. And I can also assure you that before President John Mahama will leave power in 2028, the problem about getting fuel to fuel our plants would also be solved, so that the people of this country would have a peaceful means of enjoying their energy or the electricity.
Dennis's final thoughts too. Dennis, in just a minute.
My sister, my brother is forgetting that the MPP is a political party. We are not a church. And so everything that we discuss is politics, except that we are nationalistic in the submission of our ideas. We think about the things that politically will come and enrich the greater good of the people of this country. And so Ghanaians must never forget that we are politicians and we are a political party. The same way that the NDC has been. The NDC has never been nationalistic in anything, unless it benefits them. Now, if President Mahama, you believe, solved the problem of generation, then there shouldn't be any problem today. Nonetheless, I have learned a bit of electricity. I know that as it is today, it is expensive. How we buy power in Ghana, about 13 or 14 cents is a bit too high. A major way to bring that down is to look at the input mix. What fuel do you use to generate your power? And solar appears to be the cheapest. That's why I quoted Dr. Baumia from his manifesto, what he wanted to do to achieve that. And now the Dam Kwakufado started something, trying to build solar farms. If you go to we have some there. If you go to the north, we have that. So it is a plan that Baumia was going to build on. Mahama and the NDC must look at it again. Now, This is the time in the country's history. If you want to take it from Akufo-Addo's era to this time, this is the time that Ghanaians should not suffer. If you all agree that it is a problem of fuel, because the one market price of crude under Akufo-Addo before he left office was about $76 per crude. Now it's below 50. In that same time that we are talking about today, the cedi has appreciated so that the amount of cedis that you needed to buy crude oil in dollars is no longer as much as you needed in the days of Akufo-Addo. And so if you all have to hear the strengthening of the cedi, then these are some of the things that must come to bear to let us all believe that, yes, the economy is as good as they want to tell the people of Ghana. Now, the black market is being quoted to have the rate of the dollar going up every day. Meanwhile, the bank is bringing its rates down. Hitherto, that is not how it used to be. So all these problems are things that to be looked at. But the point that we want to emphasize is that, my brother, nobody is fighting over generational capacity. You simply want to sell ECG. You want to sell ECG. In the past, you people have argued that ECG, if it is privatized, is going to kill the people of Ghana. Yes, I believe that electricity is an essential commodity. If it is left in the hands of private people, in order to give us the full scale of service that we need, they will probably increase the rates. However, ECG was doing 100% distribution under Akufo-Addo. You don't have any excuse. In terms of distribution lines, when you were in power, when you were criticizing NAPO and MPP when you were in opposition, for putting the lights off, that was the time that you had contracted whoever to destroy pylons. We were cutting down pylons, a whole network of electricity lines, big high tension lines were being brought down. At that same time, when we needed to put those things in place, you were still arguing to the people of Ghana that NPP was not handling the management of electricity efficiently. We have made some strides. We moved the car power plant that was being left unused from the Western region to Kumasi. All these are measures that the MPP put in place. Just continue and stop the talking.
All right, Dennis.
Continue the works. Because at the end of the day, President Mahama in the past 120 days has not done nothing except just to buy time and enjoy his goodwill. The few things that he's been able to do are the things that Nana Addo Akufo-Addo added. Now he has come to see that Akufo-Addo is almost completing the dualization of Kumasi-Accra Road at 62%, so he says he's going to prioritize it. We know Akufo-Addo is now constructing Kaswa to Winneba Road, almost completed. He says he's going to complete it.
Okay.
Dennis, so all these things that he's talking about are things that Akufo-Addo did. If you want to admit that Akufo-Addo was a good president, admit and go forward.
Okay.
Everything the vast and the
Dennis, thank you.
Talking about
that
you are trying to rally around was done by Akufo-Addo. Accept that, and let us help you if you are deficient in a plan for implementing to make Ghana better. Until the 4 years is up, it is for all of us to develop Ghana.
Well, thank you, Dennis. Thank you. I think your 1 minute I gave you is up. You've overly exhausted it, but I'm so grateful to you, gentlemen. Thank you for speaking with us today.